Heroes, villains, a tale as old as time, and the never-ending battle to protect truth and justice from those who thrive on chaos and bloodshed. Come with us as we peel back the mask on your beloved Crusaders of Light and dive deep into the dark and twisted abyss of the most feared and hated harbingers of doom. Follow your host, Power Maximus, and everyone's favorite demigod, Lord Triage, as they take a trip down the rabbit hole that is everything super. So, are you a hero or a villain? Either way, find that super suit and suit up for the Super Breakdown.
right. Welcome back to the Super Breakdown podcast. I am Power Maximus, and we're here with everyone's favorite demigod, Lord Triage. We have something very special for y'all today. Very, very special. We're here with a special guest. By all means, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Demetrius Holt, also known as Hellspawn Cosplay. I am a electrician by day and cosplayer, producer, writer, actor, executive, Playboy fuck. If I would have got that out right, that would have been work. That would have worked. But it didn't work because I stumbled on my words. But no, I'm just a blur that's able to do some things that I was fortunate enough to be put in a position to do. So that's what I'm here for. So what it be like?
All right, perfect. We're here with Demetrius Holt. All right, man. Let's get into it. So first of all, what was your inspiration? What got you? What started you down this path? As the viewers can see, your massive collection behind you. What started this?
We started what? Like the collection or what I'm currently doing?
Everything. Like let's step back to the beginning. What started you down the path that you're on right now?
I don't want to be as cliche as to say my mom got me into it, but that's kind of what happened. I was no, well, it was always around me. My parents have different loves and passions. You know, my dad's into cars, and my mom was always into sci-fi stuff. So with my brother and sister being 13 and 11 years older than me, I had a lot of pop culture around me when I grew up, when I first came, into like awareness of things. So, I was acutely aware of, Word Up magazine at the same time of like Wizard magazine, and I knew I was watching like Maycross, on VHS, as well as Battle of the Planets and such, from because my dad was dubbing the VHS tapes from when he was in Korea, and he was just sending the stuff over. So it was way before like torrents or even FYE or a lot of the other stores that we used to get, 3 episodes of Dragon Ball Z on DVD for $30 back in the day. But yeah, like that's the environment that I grew up in. And I started like writing my own like short stories in like Greek mythology because I had a bomb 5th grade literature arts teacher, Mrs. Subnosky, and she encouraged us to be as creative as possible with the application of powers and abilities and one's origins and all that stuff. So it's always been in my mind to have a creative basis within a fantastical world. And fast forward several years, I got a little bit. I've always had money because I was always working in high school, and I used to work at Toys R Us, so the discounts was there. I used to work at I used to work at Best Buy, so the discount was really there. So I got a treasure chest of several hundred DVDs that were like between Batman Beyond and that entire run of the Justice League situation from Batman the Animated Series all the way over to I think Young Justice season 2 was coming out when I finally stopped working there. But anyways,
oh wow,
yeah, it was that long ago. But yeah, so like I've always had the ability to acquire the stuff that I was into. $5 things, and Hot Toys didn't come out until well into the late 2010s or so, and I wasn't really paying attention to the landscape of nerdom until I got involved with a podcast called the Nerdpocalypse, which is still going on right now. Those guys, they're local to the Baltimore area, and they welcomed me, and I became a member of their podcast for a little bit. And I still talk to those guys almost every day, and got on to this one show that they were doing where we went to a comic book convention, went to Rhode Island Comic Con in 2016. And that's when I met Jason David Frank, and we interviewed him, and we were talking about the upcoming Power Rangers movie where he had the cameo with Amy Jo Johnson, and like all that stuff was coming out the following year. And it was like really cool with all the culture. But then during that time, I was bodybuilding with my ex-wife, and we were competing in the NPC competitions. And around 2017, we split, got divorced, and trying to continue to bodybuild and compete after that support system was no longer a thing, it didn't really work for me that well. So I was like, well, it's time to transition. It's time to do something different. And with all the different stuff that I had, basically picked up over the years, like I got Abin Sur's power battery from Green Lantern over there, and I had several other props that I would just collected as like I was going to collect a bunch of swords. That was my thing. I was going to collect a bunch of lightsabers and swords and stuff, and just have like a wall that was just like weapons of destiny. Like that was in my mind back then. And
nice.
Yeah, and I was just like, I was going to just collect this stuff. I was like, well, I might as well see what this cosplay thing is about, because I didn't really know what cosplay was back then in 2017. And I went to Awesome Con in 2017 as Kratos, which was kind of cathartic when you think about it now, realistically speaking. But yeah, it was my first time in cosplay, and I didn't realize that there was like a whole community until pictures of me started coming out on the internet. People started like looking out for me. It was like, well, what are you doing next? I'm like, I didn't know I was supposed to be doing something next, and I was just like, I was just into it, because when I came home that night, and I was able to wash off the paint, like I treated that like it was like the ash of my former family, and something that's that's transitioning me into like this next part of my life. And and then I fell in love with it, as far as the next thing was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should do Sub-Zero, because Sub-Zero has always been like my thing in Mortal Kombat. And I won the divorce settlement, so I had some extra money. So, so I threw a block party, and then it was like, well, let me drop like a good $1,600 into the Sub-Zero. Let me see what I can do with that. And it just became like an addiction, a passion. It was like, oh, this is like a real creative outlet for me. And then from there, that's when the community started like reaching out to me. It's like, yo, you should do this, or we should do this, or why don't you meet this person here, meet this person there. And then I got like a crash course into what this community truly is. And it's like it's a grouping of a bunch of people who really could not express themselves when they were in their most formative years. And there is a lot of folks who are trying to play catch up now, and it's jarring. I want to say I was always a well-adjusted individual, but I also came up in an era where Ed Bundy was on television, and there was not a whole lot of sensitivity that came across when it came to like different jokes, and the culture was just different in the 90s. You know what I mean? So I had to relearn what it was like to interact with people who were not like myself, because the last time I had to do that was like, I want to say college, like undergrad type deal, and that was like a good 15 years prior to that. So yeah, it's been a journey. These last 6 years have been something to definitely speak on, and it just, one thing just led to the next thing. I always wanted to do, there's a few characters that I haven't done yet, for various reasons, but when I knew I was still in like the mode of training, like I was for like bodybuilding, I wanted to do He-Man, and that was about 14 months into me starting cosplay when I did that, and things kind of changed overnight, and people were really
that He-Man cosplay, man.
People were really into that.
I felt that. Yeah, I when I saw that, I was like, wow, with the everything, it looks like He-Man, but now you got the fro instead of the blonde curly locks. And like when I saw that, I was like, yo, this is what we need. I always liked He-Man. And so, to see him portrayed by somebody that looks like me, I was like, all right, yeah, I can get down with this. I definitely that one, the Sub-Zero one, sick, super sick,
Thank you.
sick.
You see, the best thing about cosplay is that you can make the characters your own, and you don't really have to explain it. But when you do explain it in your own like vision, it makes sense to the people who are like fans. So, it's I'm not gonna go into Sub-Zero because that takes a little bit of like history, but it's just it's one of my favorite ones. Like I've got a few favorites that I've done, but it's definitely one of my favorites.
Speaking of favorites, we've been seeing Cyclops a lot lately, and so I wanted to touch on that. What started your affinity for Cyclops, like as a character, leading up to you getting into the cosplay?
Shoot, man, my thing is my two favorite X-Men are Cyclops and Colossus. I've got like if okay, I was just explaining to a friend today, right? I don't like playing games that make me feel like a bitch. Like I don't like playing Resident Evil or Silent Hill, or like truth be told, I don't like playing Call of Duty or anything like that. Why am I playing something that is realistic? You know what I mean? Like if I'm supposed to be playing this game, why am I playing sports games if I can play that shit outside? You know what I mean? Like why? So that's why I've always been to, ever since my boy Sean introduced me to Devil May Cry back in like 2001. It was like, oh, this is what it's like. Link from Ocarina of Time. Like when I was playing that on 64, that I felt powerful playing that character. You know what I mean? But anyways, like when you are playing a character that has nothing but overwhelming power and it's just all about how stylish you can pull off the hits, you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff that sets in my mind. So, when you're playing like games like Ashura or Ashura, excuse me, and hell, like even when Halo was it until Destiny came out, and then that's when I just like, okay, well, I no longer need to play Halo because this is what I want. This is the type of shooter that I want. I want to have something that is like basically overwhelming power. And all of the everything that I ever saw when I was a child, especially when it came to X-Men, the two characters that had overwhelming power were Colossus and Cyclops. And my first like not live action, my first animated introduction to the X-Men was Pride of the X-Men, which was a VHS that was sold out of Burger King when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had Burger King VHS episodes come out for the Happy Meals and shit, or not Happy Meals, but like the kids meals. And I got that VHS and I wore it out because Pride of the X-Men was that pilot for the X-Men TV series that didn't get picked up. That was where Wolverine was Australian for some god awful reason, but it was you saw Scott and you saw Pietro, like they were doing their thing, and then when you played the game, those were like the best characters, especially when you had like the Colossus War and like he had like area damage and all that stuff. So I was always into those characters on the X-Men for that very reason. So me following Cyclops' career over these last, say, 25, 30 years, seeing how he was at first looked upon as like the Boy Scout, then, he's the one who goes a little bit too far, then he becomes the revolutionary, from the revolutionary to the anti-hero, to the point where, he's killing Charles. Like that man has had several arcs, but it's all leading up to it's all boiling down to the singular mentality that he's been about his people. Scott has always been about his people. And, the whole thing with George Floyd that happened back in 2020, you know, when you are doing things on a consistent basis that is creative, you can't help but to have protest pieces. And I have had two cosplays that were essentially protest pieces, and one was Homelander, and then the other one was Cyclops. So people think that my black and silver Cyclops is an homage to X Force when it's not. It's a Black Lives Matter one. You know what I mean? So that's why that first photo shoot involved my son. When he was basically an infant, because there was an instance where the police was called on me while I was holding him during the same summer where George Floyd was murdered, and there was nothing but fear, there was nothing but anxiety, but I had to stay in that place because if I left, then the narrative would have been flipped, without me having a rebuttal. You know what I mean? So I had to worry about the cops coming in hot on me and my son when he was just freshly all of 6 or 7 months old. So
wow,
that Cyclops means a whole lot to me because he is a man of the people. He is, he's always been for the mutants, always been rather consistent on that. And the fact that I was able to tap into all of the pain. Hell, everyone who saw this last episode that came out, what he said when he was sitting, on that in that interview, everything he was saying, I felt just for being black. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? I'm not going to shy away from the fact that there are things that have happened in my life that were not savory, but I've been capable of redirecting the energy in a creative way to express how it could be interpreted from other perspectives, and hopefully other people can get it as opposed to just being told this is what y'all were doing wrong. Maybe you can see it when it comes to visuals. So Cyclops is a big deal to me.
Wow, that's deep. I definitely agree with you. I feel like I was really young when I watched the animated series, so a lot of it I don't remember a lot of it, but I feel like now they're finally giving Cyclops giving him his full potential that he has all throughout the comics, like you said, from the Phoenix Force to him killing Charles and stuff like that. Fear Itself storyline. And I just feel like now they're finally giving him that run that he deserves. Like that interview, I knew something was gonna go down. Just hearing his words and feeling the pain that he's feeling, and I'm like, damn, he don't miss. He don't miss. Now when after, because I saw that you did a Hawkman cosplay as well.
Yeah, shout out to the Hawk.
Yes. Now was that before or after Cyclops?
So Hawkman came after Cyclops, but Hawkman was a commissioned cosplay, and there was one of if I'm going to I'll tell the whole story. Well, not the whole story, because it's a bit confusing. But one of the co-directors of a few episodes of Westworld reached out to me, and she wanted to capitalize on the fact that Aldous Hodge was going to be portraying Hawkman in Black Adam. And so in her mind, if we could create a cosplay that was also at the time an NFT, basically like a card, but just an NFT or whatever, if we could produce multiple images of that, then that would get the attention, and that would put us on a certain path towards working with Aldous. And then at the end of the day, It was like a collaborative effort. Shout out to Janine Crossland, Woman of Wonders 8 on Instagram, because she made that entire cosplay from top to bottom. And the thing is, that director like basically bailed on paying for it. So like it was really shitty. It was really shitty. So because Gina had made the entire thing, had fitted in, or had only gotten half of the deposit, and the only reason she finished it is because I've been not only a good friend but like a good customer to her. So she was like, Demetrius got me whatever. So yeah, like had to come up out of like the rest of like a $3,800 cosplay commission that was supposed to be paid by this director who said that she wanted to get all this stuff done, but where is she now? She was nowhere to be found. So it just so happened that the reason why it got as much traction as it did is because I ended up running into the partner of Aldous Hodge at San Diego Comic-Con the year prior, and I didn't know it was him. And he sent it to Aldous, and Aldous then shared it onto his story and was like, from one Hawkman to another, or from one Thanagarian to another, shout out to this brother here. And from there, we just like things kind of clicked, and what that director wanted and was trying to do things in the most nefarious and stupid way possible, just by just doing good work and doing just doing good work. It did exactly what she wanted, but then she was no longer a part of the project. So, and like so much has come from that one cosplay, from being in New York during the premiere and being one of the only one of two cosplayers, at the Black Adam premiere in Times Square, and like, come on, like the exposure was ridiculous. So
that's dope.
It
That's
was
dope.
Yeah, man, it was everything that director wanted and was underhanded trying to get, just came naturally from just doing the good work. And that was just like one of those lessons that just don't be don't be a dirtbag, and just do what you're supposed to do, and good things will come your way when they're supposed to, and it definitely did.
Now, transitioning from cosplay, you also do a lot of advocacy work as well. Would you be able now you just recently trademarked and copyrighted your, was it Blurred and Powerful?
Yes. Yeah.
So let's break that down for us.
So how do I tell that story? Okay. So one of the things that happened at San Diego Comic-Con in 2019 when I went was a party called Blurred and Bougie. Blurred and Bougie was was thrown. Yeah, it was thrown by the CW and the WB folks, right? So that yacht party was lit. Had all the folks from Legends of Tomorrow and Black Lightning and the Flash, like they were like there. Everyone was on the boat, and we were like chilling. Like it was like the blackest event that was there at San Diego. And when I went, I was like, yo, I gotta come back to this. But then the next year, the pandemic happened, right? So there was no San Diego for the next 2 years, and it was 2021, I believe, was the first year we went back, and I was looking for anything that was black, anything Blurred and Bougie or anything like that, and that's when I happened to run into not only Aldous Hodge, but then so many other people within this group of like black writers and directors, and like Mark Bernardin and Dr. Jason Johnson, and there was like there was so many people there just chilling, after, because we had just left the fandom party, and it was lit. So I ended up running into these folks, and later on down the line, I started thinking, because I had a couple I do have a couple friends that run conventions now currently, like Jason Richardson of J1 Con, and like Hilton George of BlurredCon, and every now and then we have conversations, and and I'm being told that, like Jason he and his wife have to pull their life savings every single year in order to fund their convention, because they don't have the same type of resources that white conventions or regular conventions get. And so I was like, yo, that's shitty. Like, I only have one kid, and y'all got two, and I can imagine, like, that's how scary and harrowing that is, right? So I was like, well, let me see what I can do to help. And I was thinking, well, if I can find a way to, like, get a bunch of conventions together to say, let's host like a mixer at a Blurred and Bougie event, and we have potential like angel investors, go talk to them about what they do. It's like a mini convention with it's like a business mixer, but then right after the business mixer, we go party with like the stars. And I put together this whole proposal, and to complement and to supplement Blurred and Bougie, I came up with Blurred and Powerful, because the idea of spreading the awareness of Black-owned conventions empowers our culture and our communities to, not only invest in, the arts, and but also the children who will want to be as creative as I got to be. So let's try to like work that angle. And Blurred and Bougie was no longer a thing, because the executives that were at WB were now at other studios. And Blurred and Bougie was a trademark, name for an event that was owned by WB. So that could no longer be a thing, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck. So, all right, now I gotta put together, like, maybe let me see if I can throw together like a party at a club, and see that if I can make that happen. I it didn't work out, because I didn't really have the money for it, and trying to get the idea together to host a party. I had to get like a party like coordinator, and a promoter, but it just didn't work out. And the idea of trying to host a panel at San Diego, I applied for it, and I didn't get it. I got waitlisted, but my boy Urias at Black Heroes Matter, he got his approved for 2022. Yeah, 2022, I believe. And from there, I was like, oh, bet. So, I went and I tried to network as much as I possibly could. And it was cool to talk to people about this sort of thing, then just to come back in 2023 and have not only a more established platform of what I've been doing, to say, hey, there is now a list of Black-owned conventions on on the website. At least that's what I did do that by then. And the idea that we are building more awareness and a network, I got more people to talk to me. And then Blurred Station became a part of the whole nexus of things, because they saw a TikTok back in November of last year. It's starting to get confusing as to which years things happen, because things have been happening as they've been happening. But yeah. So
yeah, definitely.
So things started getting put into the mix. So when I went back this year, I was talking to people about Blurred Station, and then Blurred and Powerful, and it's all synergistic. If we find a way to just be able to work with one another and find the value in in partnerships and strategic partnerships, we end up building so many bridges that there's no water for us to fall into, and then we end up thriving in a way that is reminiscent to Black Wall Street. You know what I mean? Like, there is so much that we are able to actually do and talk about. Like, even right now, there are discussions happening right now that I can't talk about because the haters will sabotage me. But no, but there are things that are happening right now that are indicative to the amount of passion and the amount of consistency that we have in all of our messaging. So it's taking a while, but it takes a while. Okay. And things, we fall into setbacks. Like, I was hoping that the app would launch in January, February this year, and it didn't happen because we didn't have the subscribers for Blurred Station. But as far as Blurred and Powerful, I was able to, meet an individual out in San Diego this past year who jumped on as my brand manager, and she has taken the Instagram page to heights that I was not able to do on my own. And she knows her stuff, and so she's been helping out the page, she's been helping out the website, and like as far as the contests and the management of Blurred and Powerful is really on her, while I'm doing all that I can to network. And I'm doing in-person speaking engagements at like HBCUs and high schools, and like I got one coming up this Thursday with a couple of professors talking about the impact of Black media, and as within the Blur community. And I'm like, yo, I'm going to be next to like people who have letters behind their names, and I'm just this guy. and it's just there's a lot that's going on, and it's all started because I'm trying to help. Like I still am trying to help. There's no model for me to make money in anything, and I feel like I have to say this because we come from a community, a culture where we've been all scammed one way or another by Black folks. And you have, and yeah, you might understand somebody trying to make a dollar so they can keep things going, but do you have a dollar to spare right here, right now, because you got your own problems? And then if someone comes across not that genuine in how they are conducting their business, then you're immediately turned off from all Black folks, what I mean, from all Black businesses. Something could be too expensive, and you're like, why y'all gotta be so expensive? The white folks think it's so, well, because white folks got better sponsors, and they have a good old boy system to where they can get things at a lower price than we can, because people don't inherently trust us. So there's a cycle to that, and you all are feeding into that cycle when you have that mentality. So I digress. When we are talking about trying to get things going, it takes a while because people still have to see a level of consistency to know that we are not a fly-by-night operation. Okay, so that's the same for Blurred Station. That's the same for Blurred and Powerful. And in any Black organization or network that is trying to do something for the community and be as genuine and transparent as possible. So that's why I feel like I have to say I am not trying to personally enrich myself by doing anything with Blurred and Powerful. The t-shirt sales, they are great for user generated content. They are great for people themselves who believe in the message of being who they want to be, how they want to be, without being deterred like any of the Black nerds have been always harassed online. They're great for that, but they don't put money in my pocket. They fund the operation. You know what I mean? Like that Shopify store is like $40 a month. You know what I mean? So any money that we get goes right back into all the things that I'm paying for in order to keep the site open, the domain, name and all that stuff. The trademark is like $350 every year. Hell, tax day tomorrow, I got to pay another $300 just to make sure that I can be a legal business in the state of Maryland. So there's nothing that goes in my pocket. If anything, I'm losing money on a consistent basis on that. But I have to keep it open because we're the only list of Black-owned conventions in the country. The only list. If you look up Black-owned conventions, we're the only thing that comes up. So now we're filling a void, and we have to continue filling the void, and no matter the cost, by any means necessary.
Absolutely.
Woo! God, goosebumps.
Yeah, for real. Oh man. Wow.
With you growing up in Maryland, how is your journey from not your journey, but how would you say your journey in life has progressed with your art and what it is you're doing now and what it is you want to do in the future?
I tell you, growing up here, I mean, in the 90s, saying things like that shit's gay is was common vernacular back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still common vernacular here in the DMV area. And like just trying to do something that is not quote unquote white shit, or what white people do is a challenge. I just made a video where I'm just a couple hours ago, and I posted on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, telling people that I got beat up for wearing X-Men t-shirts when in
I saw that.
1993.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm wearing the same shirt. Okay, I just made the video today. But yeah, it's a real thing. Like, being a fan or a nerd of something, and at least back then, and being bullied for it is a thing. How you respond to it is a thing. So the thing is, after that third or fourth ass whooping that I took, my parents put me in Hapkido, right? They put me this, like, yo, boy, you need to learn how to fight. And they put me in Hapkido, and for the next 4 years I was in that, and I was doing I was playing pee-wee football. So I was on 75, 85, 110-pound football for the boys and girls club. And then I started playing JV. Well, no, JV didn't come until I got to high school, but it was the 7th grade when it was between the 6th and 7th grade when I had my growth spurt. And that's when some meat and some weight, hit me. And they tried to bully me again in the 7th grade. And Timothy Freelon, he tried that shit and got his ass whooped. So I handled my bullies, and I was that guy that was just different after a certain point in time. I was still collecting my stuff. I was still doing, all the stuff that I wanted to do, but I just didn't talk about it like that at school anymore. And I didn't really have friends that I could dive into it with. And that right there kind of helped me see the difference to how people treated me and how they treated people who were always talking about it, couldn't find a balance between nerd shit and just fun stuff. So when I got to my high school, I was able to reinvent myself, because I didn't want to be around any of the people that I was around. From 2nd grade to 8th grade, I was around the same people for that entire time, and I was like, no more. So I was in an education program called Talented and Gifted, and they allowed for me to apply to go to any high school within the county, and I went to the furthest one that I could. It just happened to be in the hood. And I got bused all the way out there to Capitol Heights, to Fairmont Heights High School, and I absolutely loved being able to reinvent myself as a 14-year-old, and knowing that nobody knew me here. So let's make it a mix. I was on the football team. I didn't start on the football team. They tried to jump me on my bus, and I had enough size on me to push 3 guys off the bus from the back, and we all fell out on the front of it. And then I had to basically fight 3 dudes before the administrators came, and I came away because my mom made me. That was the honor roll assembly day. My mom made me wear a shirt and tie, so of course that made me a target. And the only thing that I wasn't hurt at all, my shirt was ripped, but that was it. And one of the administrators that came to talk to us, to stop the fight, he was he was like an assistant coach for the football team. He was like, you fucked them up, and it was just only you, and he's like, and you took him from the back of the bus to the front. So we're gonna put you on the team, and we're gonna see what you can do. And I was like, all right, fine, and because it kept me from getting suspended, even though I was the one that was jumped. That was the deal that was able to be made. So,
it sounds like a movie.
Well,
that sounded like a movie, big time.
There's some things that I could say that I've done. There's some cinematic shit, boy.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah, but yeah. So I was playing football. I was a peer mediator. I was on the debate team, and I was also selling Dragon Ball Z dub tapes that I got from eBay from out of my locker. You know what I mean? So yeah, like it there was no
That's a real hustler kid.
yeah, there was no line that divided people in that school unless you divided yourself. So, like because this was what 1999 to 2000. This was when Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z had first came to Toonami and Cartoon Network, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were still in the Namek saga and getting into the Frieza saga. And I remember selling these tapes to these dudes, and they came back to me and they were like, "Yo, why is Goku's hair yellow? What is this?" Because I was selling them the Cell saga, the Cell games, and the Boo saga, as well as I had the 13 movies in the 3 or 4 OVAs, because it was like a $200. Yeah, I spent like $200 just for that complete set. And when I was selling it, I was like, he's something called a Super Saiyajin. Dog. I don't know where it came from, but this is what it is. And like I said, there were people, we were into Dragon Ball then, and there was no like, oh, this is gay or this is nerd shit, whatever, because it was a bunch of niggas fighting. Like that's what all they liked. That's all they wanted to see, right? So cool. So now, like, when I get into the blurred community as an adult and I'm hearing these wild stories of people being severely depressed or being assaulted or harassed in so many different ways because of their love for their fandoms. I was like, yo, I did not have that experience in high school. Like, I was on the homecoming court, my guy. Like, like I didn't have that experience. So that's how it was growing up in this area. The people treated you the way that you allowed them to treat you. If they were going if they were going to throw hands, you need to be able to throw hands back in order to secure your safety, secure your respect. If you're going to be at a lunch table and they're going to be popping shit at you and joning on you or calling you names or whatever, then you got to be able to come right back, and meet them where they are, and you gain that respect. I mean, it was like the prison yard back in the day. And
that's exactly what it is. That's a great reference. Find the biggest kid and kick his teeth in. Nah, that's usually what it works.
I definitely relate that a lot because I was one of those kids. I'm from Schenectady, New York. That's where we are right now. And it's just, even though the city is a literal melting pot, like everyone from all walks of life, we all pretty much go to one singular kind of high school out here. And you would think that with it being so diverse, that being a nerd wouldn't be such a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that was not the case.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the case. It was very much so like, oh, you watch anime, oh, you play Yu-Gi-Oh, oh yeah, no, you're a problem, and you're probably stuffed in the locker, heads going in the toilet. Yeah, it was pretty rough. Until I'd say about my sophomore or junior year, a friend of mine that I knew started an anime club, and it kind of like changed the entire feel of the entire high school. So, and then
what year did you graduate?
Into 13.
I graduated 07.
Yeah. Okay. 2002.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. 2013. Whew. Yeah. Things better have changed by then. Yeah, dang.
Yeah. And then you walk into this anime club, you look in the back of the room, and who's sitting there? The dude that just called you a nerd and put your head in the toilet 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I thought anime was a problem, buddy. But yeah, but the club gave those people who just felt like they had to put up that guard already and hide what they were passionate about. It gave them that room to be like, you know what, it is okay to watch anime. It is okay to read manga. It is okay to watch Power Rangers and all these other cartoons and stuff like that. And it changed the entire aura. And then next thing you know, we have full. I remember, I think one year we actually had like a mini Comic-Con for students and to come in, cosplay and stuff like that. And it's like, what happened in a year? A year just absolutely changed. And so I definitely have seen firsthand, the impact and the results of exactly what you're doing within my own lifetime, giving us a safe space to say and saying it's okay. Because like you said, we come from a culture where for a very long time it wasn't okay to be different. It wasn't okay to be, and honestly, and it's still, you still got the old heads in the family that still will look at you weird or funny or whatever. And it's like, oh, you dressing up all the time, but guess what? I'm making money. A lot of the time. So I see where everything that you're doing it's making a difference massively. And we've only stumbled across, this community, or knowing that our community actually had a name within the last year? About year. We were like, Blurred, what the hell is a Blurred? And then we connected with Midnight Comics, Lloyd and Tasha, connected with Lady Mandalore, and we start to see like, wow, we are
not so different.
Yeah, we are not alone here.
You are not alone.
Well, my thing was always because like he said, we're from Schenectady, and Schenectady is an indigenous term. It literally translates to the end of the road. So for a lot of people, that's what they feel this place is. Now, once again, life is always what you make of it. Now, when I was a kid, my dad always wanted me to read the newspaper, but it's like I really couldn't because I had trouble reading. But he noticed I could watch Batman or Spider-Man and follow along with everything that was going on. So that's how I started reading comics. Now, by the time I was in middle school, it became an issue. Got into a lot of fights. One thing led to another. I put books away. Well, I put the comics away, whatever. I want to say junior year. Shout out to my boy Mike Lake. He had a DC encyclopedia that he had checked out from the library, and I saw this shit, and I was like, "Dude, where'd you get this?" He's like, "From the library." I was like, "Bullshit." He's like, "I swear to God." When I tell you, I bought that same book within a week. And when I went to my mother, I was like, "Mom, can you buy me a book?" She goes, "Son, you want a book?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "What are you gonna do with it?" What do you mean? What am I gonna do with it? I'm gonna read it. She goes, "All right, sure." So she got me the book. I read it all the way from the car, literally till all the way to the time I went to bed that night, and then took it to school with me. Like I'm sitting in the cafeteria reading, and every now and again, someone walk up, say something sideways, and I fold it, and then we'd have an issue. But every issue got handled in my favor because, like, I did a growth spurt, put on a little bit of weight. Things went different from then on. It literally got to the point where I was reading that book to and from school. It was crazy. But that's what gave me my passion for it, was me just trying to better myself and people judging me for it.
Yeah. For me, it was my grandfather. He old school. Yeah.
These are the 93, 94 Flair Marvel X-Men cards that got stolen from my school, stolen from my locker, and my mom had to come back to the school to come get this stuff, because this is what started me into like the whole reading thing too. Like the fact that I was like reading the books and then starting to collecting the cards, and then same story.
Yeah. For me, my grandfather, he old school. He had just this box, and he was a gamer too. And he had this giant box of comic books, Sega video games and stuff, and he introduced me to all of them. And for me, I guess at the time I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So watching X-Men the animated series, Batman the animated series, I was able to be like, I want there, right there. And I felt comfortable, more so comfortable watching those. And that's really what did it for me. And that's also why Halloween is my favorite holiday. I get to step outside of myself and be something more that I want to be without anyone asking questions. I could also move to New York City and do that. They ain't gonna ask no questions there either. Um,
At all. At all.
none. It's just a regular day. Actually, might make some money doing it. Actually, that's actually
Look,
not a bad idea. um,
man.
so you've had, like you said, within these recent years, a massive spike in viewership, followers, and just how would I say, just eyes now being on you and what you're doing. How does that how does that weigh on you? You know what I mean? How is that has that affected your mental health in any way? Because first and foremost, as Black men, our mental health needs to be at the forefront of a lot of things that we do. Um, because of it not being, the forefront for a very, very long time.
Mhm.
Do you feel comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, sure. Like my mental health has been only affected by people. Okay. You know how they say you get, yeah, more money, more problems type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, when He-Man became a thing, the people who I used to have, there was people who I have had in my house who I've thrown parties with and all that stuff. And because that cosplay hit the way that it did, it made me like rocket to the top of like the food chain. And a lot of people who have been in the community for a very long time despised me for it, because that's when I started being
Mm.
called a model and not a nerd. You know what I mean? And because when you think about it,
Wow.
yeah, I was, yeah, like they like like think about it realistically, all like the AI models, or the AI images you see of like characters who are black, or black people as these characters now, whatever. That's what my He-Man represented, several years ago. It was like a vision that people had never seen before, but now you see it all the time because
Mm.
we have the ability to just paint a character black and it make it look good. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
they didn't realize that you could think outside the box when it comes to cosplay, and so long as you looked a certain way, it'll hit. And they despised me. So there's been and there's also been other reasons, but there are campaigns to get me canceled, and I have been canceled. And like, I don't rock with people within my own city anymore because of how toxic they've been. And like, I mean, like, it's just like it got so bad where when I did the Homelander cosplay, I've had my own black people tell me that I can't cosplay a white character. And not only did they do that, but they also attacked the fact that I had my son with me in cosplay at any given time. So they were saying that I was using my son as a prop. And I mean, like, it's it
Wow.
it and like these are supposed to be like my people, but you know what I mean? Like, and that is the
Yeah.
yeah, that is like when your own people come after you and you expect white races to come after you, and they just say, "Oh fuck, they got him." You know what I mean? Like, and
But you want to know the wild part about that is that like when the boys first came on, you remember the memes with Homelander, Captain America, and Superman, where it
Yeah.
was like, this is how Americans see America, and then
yeah,
this is how everybody else sees America.
uh-huh.
Hmm.
So it's wild for you to say that and tell that story, and then have to deal with that own level of, I want to say, self-destructive ignorance amongst your own people. Because once again, if you do something that's not considered quote unquote black enough, they want to pull your card.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the
Like,
thing. Like,
I had a blonde hair, blue eyed white boy tell me that I was the whitest black that he knew because my favorite show was Smallville. Just shit like that. So I hear you.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
and like, and the thing is, like, it was a protest cosplay. Like, I used the heat vision. Like, actually, I actually bought a Trump Pence sign, cut it in half, set the shit on fire, and then had red contacts in to make it seem like I had like heat vision to set it up, right? And the people who were talking shit about it, it was terrible,
Didn't get it.
and like, I don't know, like, they got it, but then we were in the middle of the pandemic when I did it. So that means that there was nobody doing nothing except for me. People for a very long time, from what I could see, folks were being held back by whatever limitations that they no longer that they only not only did they set for themselves, but the limitations that were set for them in the community itself. So if there were no conventions, there was no cosplay. People didn't have the resources or the time or the wherewithal to get a photographer and just have a photo shoot wherever you wanted to have the photo shoot. You know what I mean? And just drop some new photos. Because like, being at the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of people just didn't know what to do with themselves. Nobody was making content. This is when TikTok was starting to take off because people had nothing else to do. And the fact that when I did that cosplay, it was in the middle of it, and it got traction. It got shared a lot. Like, the producer of The Boys shared it and was like, "Yo, this is the hero that we need to see," type shit. Like, it got around. And when that happened, of course, the people who already didn't like me because they didn't get any traction on any of the bullshit that they did, of course they got something negative to say. And this is the effect of being someone who doesn't half-ass anything, and you're around a bunch of people who do half-ass things, and they think it's just enough because they're pretty or because they're black, and they should just be given the benefit of a doubt or something. Like, what I mean? Like some folks just feel like entitled to getting some sort of exposure because of who they are when they don't do any work to really put into it. So that's like, that has been like the biggest stressor when it comes to like my mental health inside the community. Outside the community is just like me stressing on how to be a father, and like how to make it work in this situation that I'm in, where I never thought I was going to be a non-custodial parent, and I'm dealing with the court system and dealing with what I'm dealing with when it comes to his mother, and like just trying to navigate that and then be the same kind of example that my dad was for me, and not being able to be there every single day. And it wear on me like that. Yeah, I definitely did go to therapy. I've been in therapy for a good like 4 years now. Yeah, because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have so many insecurities to pass on to him, because I was always inside my own head about what I'm not able to do, as opposed to focusing on the things that I can do when I am able to do. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different ways to fight the intrusive thoughts, and being in that constant mindset of forgiving myself, for the guilt.
Yeah.
So
Trust me. We've
what I mean?
all.
Like, there's a lot to it. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now, now going through all that, and moving forward, I know you can't talk too much about it because like you said, things are still in works right now.
Yeah.
Going into dealing with all that and then moving forward into Blurred Station, which you're really, if I can ask, what is your kind of position with Blurred Station? Are you just a representative or kind of like on the board?
Well, as things stand right now, we have a strategic partnership where, because okay, so the whole what they were able to offer me in return for me to introduce them to the Blurred community is an opportunity to highlight Black-owned comic book conventions on their network. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what my show Issue 1 is. Issue 1
Mm-hmm.
is a show where it's kind of like Shark Tank, where you have
Oh.
a writer creator pitch their ideas for a comic book series that they want to have published, right? And the people who are listening are like myself and then two other creatives, um, and we are taking in and we're asking questions. We're trying to get to the meat of it. And what Blurred Station would like to do is fund the first issue. So let's just say that's anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000 is funded towards that story, the one that we choose, and we get the first issue published, and then we sell it with 100% of the proceeds goes to the creator. Now, why we're doing this at Black-owned conventions? Because we want Black creatives to pay to get badges to help boost the sales and the numbers for the Black conventions. Because more exposure, more money,
Mm-hmm.
more opportunities to grow. We would be selling these books exclusively at the next Black-owned convention. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
so
I
so
see the
in
connection.
so people would not only see the book at the convention, but then they know the story behind it. They can see that it's a transparent thing, and we're still building up Black conventions, because not only is the show going to showcase the path towards that, so it means that we're having people come to each convention that we're having these episodes at, but we'll also showcase the final episode or at that Black convention. And another thing that they're willing to give is um paying for the licensing and optioning that one IP to become either an animated property on Blurred Station or a live action property. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're able to take a story and let's just say take 10 episodes, 4 seasons, you have an HBO series right there. You know what I mean? That's what we're looking at in order to help build the prestige television idea for Blurred Station. So with that being said, if I'm able to get more people, more cosplayers, more creatives at these Black conventions where Blurred Station is going to be at, then we have more options, more ideas to be funneled. We have more footage to highlight not only the creatives, who are being showcased on that show, on that episode. So therefore they're getting exposure. Like, and the only thing we're asking them to do is pay for a badge to come see us. Help out that Black convention for the very reasons that I outlined at the beginning of this interview. You know what I mean? So it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of for me to have the mission that I have for the Black conventions and Blurred culture altogether. It was kind of like a no-brainer for me to let me throw my lot in with Blurred Station and try to help them out as much as possible. Um,
Mm-hmm.
with that also being said, I have most of if you go to Blurred Station's website and you
Mm-hmm.
look at the memberships and you see different names to support, as far as those affiliates, I introduced 90% of those affiliates to Blurred Station. So the thing is, if you sign up for your membership under any of those affiliates, they get a portion of your $10.99 a month every single month, so that they can start to help fund their creative projects. And the reason why they're affiliates is because they are in the community as creatives already. So, if you're fans of these people like Blurred's Eye View or even Crazy Eight the Great, and you become members of Blurred Station underneath their name, you're helping them be able to fund their projects that they will end up putting on Blurred Station. So I'm trying to help
Oh,
people that have worked with me in the past. Like, I believe in nepotism. So you work with me
Yeah,
once
yeah.
and things are
Mhm.
cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to help out. So like, hey, yo, do you speak geek? Come over here. You know what I mean? Blurred's Eye View, come over here. Like, let's see if we can get y'all paid and get y'all into a situation where you're being highlighted on a new streaming service, and your talents are being recognized, your work is being acknowledged, and who knows what can come from that. But then they're doing the work themselves, and
mhm.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. If this is my position to help, then I got to build that bridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with Blur Station as of right now.
Okay.
All right. And that's perfect that, like, you, before even, knowing about them or them coming about, that was already kind of your mission statement,
Mhm.
overall. So I kind of feel like it was kind of like cosmic intervention that you got just so happened to, link up and come together on that.
Yeah, very fortuitous.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean,
that's what we call the affinity. That's why affinity is in a lot of our literature on that website, because things do
mhm.
happen like lightning in a bottle. And if we're able to find some level of synergy to where we're popping with a very large organization, hopefully is going to take us seriously to help us get funded. Because like I said, people don't trust what they don't know or what they can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're trying our best, and things are actually working out. It's just taking time.
What would be a dream project of yours?
I've already done so much. um because like I honestly, I could have quit cosplay a couple of years ago. I could have quit. you know um I got the call from like King Vader to say, hey, I heard that you got a nice Spawn cosplay. I'm doing this movie with Blade versus Ghost Rider. Could you be the Spawn for me? I'm
Oh
like,
shit.
Oh yeah, I saw
sure.
that.
Yeah, like he flew me out there. I was and like I'm essentially the spiritual successor to Michael Jai White as Spawn, because no other project has done that character in that suit, I mean, in that way. And then
Mm,
just last year I met Todd McFarlane. And
dope.
what I mean? And
Mm,
then the year before that, Jade
nice.
Cargill. You know what I mean? Like, it was like I've done a lot, and going to San Diego is a dream unto itself every single year. It's like going to Mecca, like for real, for real, for real, for real. Like nerd Mecca, not blurred Mecca, but just Mecca for nerds. But last year was the blackest version of San Diego Comic Con I have ever seen. There were so many like black events that I missed events because I was at another event. You know what I mean? Like they like we are coming out in force. I can't wait to see how this year is going to go. Um but yeah, like I, dream project, I don't know, like my grandmother used to host Juneteenth picnics or cookouts down in Florida back in the 90s, and I was able to create a Juneteenth documentary that's on YouTube right now. I produced that, the same year that it became a national holiday. You know what I mean? Like, it's in this thing, like I'm trying my, like, everything that I'm doing helps the community one way or another. It makes us look good. When you have networks like Zeus out here showcasing what they showcase, and then you got, companies like
Yeah.
Tubi, doing what they're doing,
Yeah.
Oh
you
Yeah.
know,
yeah.
it's there's so many different ways for us to turn a positive face to things, and be held accountable that way, as opposed to always being known for something negative. I'm doing what I can. I'm doing my part. You know,
Mhm.
Starship Troopers. I'm doing my part. But yeah, it's like it's as far as like dream projects, like I don't know. I might be working with Michael Jai White here soon. Like, like dude's my Spawn, dude's my Black Dynamite. Like we have him on, we have him, we have him we have him on this show and for Blurred Station, and we just need the funding, and we're working towards that, and he's working towards it because he's a producer on it as well. You know what I mean? So it's like, like I don't know what a dream project would be. If I was to say something lofty, that you won't be able to see for the next 10 years, if I get some like real acting lessons, and possibly I don't know. There is one character that if I was able to get into the MCU, that I would be old enough and fit enough to do. And it's not Isaiah Bradley. No. I don't know. I ain't gonna think. I don't want to speak it because I feel like I would jinx it as opposed to speaking into existence. But
all right. Well, I can definitely see a Bishop.
Nah,
I mean, but
Bishop,
you have to. You gotta go against Method Man for Bishop.
But see, the thing is, Bishop is too on the nose. So people, because I hate whenever I cosplay as Cyclops, I get either I get white racists talking about, are you Geordie LaForge or are you Bishop? Like how? Why does like? See, and that immediately turns me off to Bishop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh God, that looks so fast. No way. That's crazy. Wow, dude. That's wow. Jeez, man.
I'm actually blanking on his name now, because I haven't thought about it in so long. But he is he's one of the smartest men in Marvel Comics. And it's not Reed Richards. I can't think of his name. I cannot believe that I'm blanking on this right now. Oh,
in Marvel.
Yeah, the black dude who got basically retconned into being one of the first heroes that had to hide his face under a helmet, because he was black.
Oh my God! Damn.
Right. His entire suit is blue. And it's messing with me. I can't think of it.
Yeah, damn, it's bothering me now too. Damn.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
I don't know what y'all talking about right now.
It was very vague to me.
It's a Marvel character?
Yeah.
He was what's the name's boyfriend for a little bit. Spectrum.
Oh, damn! Now it's killing me now. Wait. You said is it related to Isaiah Bradley?
Blue Marvel.
Blue Marvel.
It's so simple. So simple.
They're actually they're trying to bring him back right now.
Yeah, they are. They are.
But no, I'm just saying, like, that would be like a dream project that I would be able to, because Denzel's too old to do it. He would be too old to do it by the time they get to it. You know what I mean? And there's plenty of other black actors that could get it done, but that would be like a dream project, I guess.
That's what's up. Now, I gotta ask. Earlier in the show, you had brought up you have like an affinity to Greek mythology. How did that start?
Finding out that there were like just the stories. The stories were, pretty dope. Like because again, I've got Hercules and Xena action figures sitting right over there, and television was a little bit more. Television was progressive as hell, but it was also conservative back then. But you had your Mantis, you had your Nightman, your Mantis, your Babylon 5, you know what I mean? Like you had all this like sci-fi and fantasy shit happening on television, and it was just cool to see. Like, I wonder what those 13 labors were for Hercules. And reading those stories was super interesting, which then goes into my love of Kratos, who turned all that on its head. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So like it's like that's between the stories and where things like the reason why the sun, moon, like go up or go down, and then the reason why that's the case in like Norse mythology is so different than Greek.
It's going hard, yeah.
Yeah, it's all cool. And then now, as an adult, I hear about the the African gods that all these that these characters are basically stolen from. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
Like yeah, we were the first. Of course we were the first. That makes all the sense in the world. And then like how Odin is really the template for like Thor and all. That's just like it makes you tired. It makes you so tired that there's so much appropriation of who we are as a culture, who we are as a people by folks, and like they turned it into their own thing, and then it just gets so egregious, even in the media, because like come on, like gods of Egypt, what the fuck was that? You know what I mean? Like you just
I want to spit.
it just drains you because why?
Right.
Why was that the choice? But you know why.
Absolutely.
But then it gets done right, like in American Gods, and the show gets canceled.
Well, it got canceled because people stopped watching it because of what they did to Orlando Jones.
Will Jones,
yeah, that entire story. It like as soon as he was off the show, the showrunner was off, and like the quality just dropped. Seasons 2 and 3. Yes, like it was like halfway through season 2 into season 3. It was just garbage. Like I just stopped. Like I'm good.
And we all know why. Right after that amazing speech that he gave.
Yeah.
That was it. That speech.
Oh, that's exactly what it was. But that's one of the reasons why my decal is a spider, is because of him.
Oh, nice.
And yes. And then it's like like one of the things I thought that was really interesting, because if you're a Looney Tunes fan, everybody's heard of Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny is actually based off of Anansi.
Oh, didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So it's supposed to be that when they were creating the character of Bugs Bunny, like if you look back at some of the original stories, those can be compared to the stories of Anansi.
Oh.
So
right there.
I was just saying, so should we be a fan of Bugs, or should we hate Bugs for misrepresenting what came from us?
Well, I'm gonna say if you take a look at some of those earlier Looney Tunes commercial shows, they were just filled with propaganda
and racism.
Heavy. So I'm leaning to the side of hate. I'm leaning because there was quite a few really bad blackface episodes.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Just like at Disney.
A few really bad blackface. Yeah. Man, don't Donald Duck is a Nazi.
Listen, man. We can't bring up the mouse, because you know what happens when we talk about the mouse. I'm just saying. we can go down a real dark rabbit hole. Next thing you know, someone's gonna bring on Winnie the Pooh, and it becomes a whole thing.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Oh man, but dude, seriously, we the reason why we asked you on the show is because we see what you do. You are 100% seen. Not just as a man with a bunch of followers, but the work that you're doing, that you're putting in for the community, is seen by us for what it is. You know what I mean? Not just what you're doing, but like for what it's for. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, seeing your He-Man, I was like, dude, yeah, that, and then I just thinking like, what if that He-Man was the He-Man that was animated. Would he have caught the way he had caught?
Right.
You know,
Well,
and it brings so many. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes you find. It brings you to question the world around you, and it inspires that deeper critical thinking and thought,
Mhm.
you know, about things and about how one sees the world around them and is seen by the world around them. So I love what you're doing, especially with Blurred and Powerful, you know, and Blurred Station. I just feel like it's what we need, and a part of that's what we aspire to do with our platform. Yeah, we are not PC as much as we possibly can be.
Fuck crap time.
As you can see, but we, you know, we strive to just be our most genuine and authentic selves, and it's creators like you and the others that, you know, make us feel free to do that. You know, we openly let people know, hey, listen, you know, if we say anything that you don't like, you know, apologies, but that's that's kind of just where we are, you know. But you know, we will touch on everything and anything in a very raw way, because a lot of the times people, when you start to sugarcoat the reality of things, that's when reality starts to be diluted and starts to become, you know, a delusion or an illusional state. And our people, we have been in that state for hundreds of years, and it's time. And just in my mind, it's like it's time to break out of that. It's time to get raw, to get real, to bring up the hard questions, and to give the hard answers. And that's kind of like what we strive to do, and just give people a safe place to kind of be themselves and be accepted, and also a group for people to be like, you know what, I may not agree with you, but I accept you for who you are, because you are your authentic self. So I gotta accept you as your authentic self. You know, we may not agree, but you're being real, and I can get with that.
So I got to ask the question, like, what would be one hard question you would ask me right here, right now, that you would think would be a little bit too taboo for this conversation?
Wow.
That's usually my department.
That's usually a hard question for you. Honestly,
do you feel like with what you're doing for the culture, for the movement, and the people, that, I'm not sure if you have been, but do you feel that you've ever been pressured or someone's tried to push a certain narrative or pushing an agenda on you?
No. The only thing that I feel pressure from is where you have creators who have comic book characters that they want cosplayed, or that they want, you know, to get some shine. They would want you to cosplay them, and they're not willing to help you pay for it, or, you know, help you create it in that way. And it's like, I'm doing what I'm doing, not just for the culture, but I'm doing it for myself. So if you are asking me to highlight this indie book, cool, help me pay for it, help me get it made to a quality that stands out. Because yeah, I can do something homemade and half-assed, but if you know, you get what you pay for. And with the people that I know, with the people that I know, and you are trying to get this character out there, if you see how I move with, you know, with characters that I just happen to love, but then yet, you know what I mean, and you see the traction that it gets, why wouldn't you want to put the same amount of money, time, and passion that I do in something that doesn't even belong to me, you know, but something that like that belongs to you, and you expect me to just want to cosplay it? Like, I don't know nothing about your character. You know, I don't identify with, I don't cosplay any character that I don't identify with unless I'm paid well for it. Hawkman,
Yeah.
Okay.
and like that, and look what I'm able to do with it. So I mean, like, just like I have shown you what it takes to make something good, and to get the certain type of traction. Why wouldn't you invest in me the same way like you would want to invest in your own character? Because I can make it happen, Captain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the only time that I've ever felt pressured to push a narrative that wasn't the same thing as something I would normally just say online anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to go along with that, I feel that it's just like, it's like they're using you in a way, but without giving you the recognition that you deserve. Because it's like, again, like you said, if they truly followed you, truly followed what you do, they will already know what it is. They will already know what you stand for and how you work.
So the thing is that
You know,
I wouldn't call it like they're not acknowledging me or recognizing me. It's that Spawn suit that was in the movie that they get right. That's a $4,000 suit. Okay, Hawkman is a $3,800 suit, and both of those were covered, sponsored by my dad. You know what I mean? Like him and my mom came together to help me get those things paid for, and both of those things put me on a different path altogether. The only thing that put me on a certain path cosplay wise was He-Man, and I did that all on my own. And it's there's the proof is in the pudding, where if you know the right people to make something from your imagination into reality, the way that we can market things now, and the way that we can find ways to promote things, you're only working against yourself when you don't work with the person or the talent that can get it done. You know what I mean? There's a couple of creators I can name off the top of my head, which I won't, because that's not good business. That I've talked to about their characters, about their books, and I showed them an itemized price list for what to get for their cosplay, and they ain't got it right now. Cool, but then I still get certain messages about doing that character, like, help me pay for it, because it's like, I'm not independent. I'm an electrician. you know Between funding Blurred and Powerful out of that check, and trying to work side jobs in order to make sure that I can do what I need to do with my son and pay child support and all this other shit. Like, the stuff that I do for me, I take time. It takes me 6 months to put together a new cosplay. The things that y'all want cost money. Because look at the quality. Look at that. Look at that quality of that Hawkman. Like, for real, for real. Like, when you look at it, and then and the way that it's photographed. Like, I can jump off a ladder, and it's not fragile, and it looks good photographed. It looks good in motion. You know what I mean? So that's the quality that we're looking at. So I don't think I have any bad cosplays or any bad suits that would be like, I don't know if I could see that on screen. Like, no, and that's the whole point. Like, I've been recently asked, like, where did the name Hellspawn come from? Like, when I got into this, I want to make sure that people thought that my cosplays looked like I made a deal with the devil. You know what I mean?
oh shit!
So therefore, they're Hellspawn cosplays. You know what I mean? And with Spawn being my favorite character. So I got my own shit to uphold. I got my own quality. So I don't just jump out here and do. Hell, even my Cyclops. My Cyclops is basic as all hell, but the visor is dope. The harness is dope. You know what I mean? The motocross boots are dope. Everything else, just regular apparel that I'm just able to find that looks like the character. Now, this upgrade I'm doing, though,
Upgrade.
It's upgrade.
Okay.
It's upgrade. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
You'll see that. You'll see that, and hopefully I'll be able to break that out of San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, is it anything else you wanna dig into?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I mean, you.
Nah, man. Like the work that you're doing, it's getting there. It's growing. It's gonna go places. It definitely is. And go ahead.
No, you mentioned the whole He-Man thing. Like, I don't know. Like, so being on the cover of this issue of Masterverse, with the He Soul, which is my character, which is me,
Yeah.
that being on the cover of this, it's coming. We got King Grayskull. I can guarantee you, since Mattel owns every single one of these characters here, they see action figures in there. And if they see action figures, they see animated opportunities. So it's coming.
Yeah.
Like there is the change is already here because it's making the money. And
yeah,
and I'm proud that I'm a part of that, even though it's not mine, but that is like there is some real change. And I tell people all the time, like anytime that you want to make your mark out here, you can't be just on the internet. Because if the internet goes away tomorrow, who are you? And there's a lot of people who will be severely hindered if they're not able to have an online persona. So that's why a lot of my initiatives now are offline, and like I'm in person with people, working with people, because that's what truly matters now. And this is something that is working with people to a degree where there's a standing legacy. There's like a 40-50 year legacy with Mattel when it comes to this IP. And you want to talk about something that's going to last a long time? There's some things that are definitely going to last a while. So that's where I feel like my impact has truly been felt. Everything else, when it comes to the blurred community, I'm just getting started. So y'all might see me, but y'all gonna if things hit the fan like I'm hoping that they do, it's gonna change the landscape for everybody. And that's not, I'm not mincing words. I'm not, this isn't hyperbole. Like with the conversations that we've been having this past weekend, it could very truly happen, like for real. It's just a matter of how we do it and how quickly we can get it all put together, which we already got the infrastructure down. We just got to be able to fund it. So, oof. Yeah,
we're excited. We cannot wait. And I don't know, the way you said that was real foreboding right there.
Yeah.
I felt like there was like a storm cloud coming around behind you with that one. Yeah,
I'll when we get offline, I'll tell you who we're talking to, and we'll just have to keep that between us.
Absolutely. Copy.
Yeah.
We got a couple things in the work we'll keep between us too. And
absolutely, it's something. Yeah, there's a few things we don't mind talking about too.
Right.
But no, man, we definitely appreciate you coming on the show. I know we probably went a little bit longer than we had discussed, but dude, we appreciate it so much, so much. And at any point in time, anytime you got something that you got going on that you want to put out there, we're a message away. You're more than welcome to come to it.
I mean, do y'all have like a blog, or y'all just put different news things out on your Instagram?
So our Instagram, that's kind of like our main route to get in contact with us right now. But we have no problem email, all that.
No. I'm talking about like do you talk about like current events? Do you have like basically an outlet? Like, are you an outlet? So, so this is the thing.
We're in the process of building that side of it right now.
Okay, because like y'all haven't.
That's kind of like what. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying with you having a consistent podcast that you can point to, that's a path towards you all getting press badges at conventions. You know what I mean? And that's something that you should be striving for so that you can have your footprint on something other than just an online presence. So if you're able to get in at these conventions and have a name, have TSB Crew be a name at these conventions, then that helps you build your website, that builds your accolades, that builds your portfolio, so you can get to the bigger events. And then so that when other situations happen down the line, it's easier to pull you in a nepotism type way, so that nobody gives me any kind of guff about these two individuals from upstate New York, that are trying to come down to interview some folks. You feel me? Like, am I speaking heavenly enough?
That's definitely something that we've been working on. We tried to go for which Comic? I think it was the New York City Comic Con for the press badges.
Yeah.
And same kind of situation. We didn't get it because our following wasn't big enough. So with the last year, we've been on just a hard campaign. We went from doing our show every other week to doing it every week. Making sure, cracking down and watching and learning the best way to maneuver via social media, algorithms and whatnot, just as a campaign to get our following up, so that we can we can have those abilities to get those press badges. So it's definitely something we've been striving for.
Because the next step would be bringing y'all into the Blurred Station press corps, and the things that we get out there is like, when I said like Blurred's eye view, like the things that they're talking about, we've got a private Discord where I disseminate information to the people who are part of our press corps, and like they now have content. They got stuff to talk about. Like they are writing stories and blogs on stuff like that because of who we're able to give them access to. So that's what I'm saying. If I'm telling you straight up, I believe in nepotism, and I'm able to bring you in rooms because of what you've been able to build on your own. Now, I mean, I'm not just helping you along. I'm using the fact that you all are an established entity that has all your credentials, that has all your bona fides, excuse me, and you already earned your spot by being who you are. It wasn't someone that just gave it to you. Like, you are actually you are supposed to be there. So that's the most important thing that you need to take away from this conversation right now, is that you need to get your shit together so that I can bring you in.
Copy.
All right. Okay.
Definitely. Demetrius, thank you, bro. We really appreciate you so much.
No
yeah, if you want, you're gonna stay. You can definitely stay. Stay in the broadcast for a few minutes after, just so we give everything time to load up. But yeah, man, level 7s, ladies and gentlemen, that is Demetrius Holt, father, electrician, CEO, representative, advocate for all things Blurred and Self.
You got any final words to say to the people?
Don't half-ass anything. Full-ass it.
Full send. Yeah. Full send.
All right, y'all. Good night.
People to full action for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
Yeah, we're gonna be saying that for the rest of the week. Full ass.
Oh. That's going in the real.
I like that. Yeah, full ass, definitely. All right, man. Yeah, just give us a few minutes after, and yeah, dude, definitely. All right, and that has been the Super Breakdown. Tune in next week. Waterbenders next week. This is Avatar April.